Okay, so we are getting ready to do soft dinner rolls. Now, what makes this dough unique really the dough isn't really what's unique. What's unique is what we do with the dough, and you'll see the recipe as you log in that it has a lot of options. It's a very simple dough, very similar to baguette dough, but with a little bit of enrichment in it. We have some non-fat dry milk, some fat, some shortening and butter, a little bit of egg. So it has some minor enrichments. But basically this dough is a very simple dough. What makes it unique, and in many ways, ethnically unique, is all the different types of shapes that are used to make things out of this dough. In the recipe, you'll see first mentioned tied and knotted rolls. Knotted rolls involve taking the piece of dough that you want, the size of the dough you want, and making it into a strand and tying it into a knot. The knot can be very simple, it can be very complex. It's also mentioned sawtooth rolls, crescent rolls, pan rolls, which essentially are just round rolls, Parker House rolls, which you may have heard of before. Parker House rolls are like plain rolls, but they have a crease down the middle, dividing them in two. Cloverleaf rolls, which are made up of 3 pieces of dough. Butterflake rolls, which are very unique because we take a number of layers of dough and bring it together, brushing melted butter in between them. And then this dough is also very good for pan loaves and for what they call a Pullman loaf. Pullman loaves are especially a loaf pan, but it was originated on trains. The Pullman, who operated the Pullman car on a train, would use a special loaf pan that was specifically designed to make small sandwiches. And it's a special style of loaf. So there's a lot of options. And then there's braiding. This dough can be braided very nicely. So you're seeing me go through, I've sped up the video quite a bit here to get through the kneading process rather quickly. But the different styles of rolls, they vary depending on where you are in the world and what point of history you're studying. In the case of braids have been used throughout Eastern Europe and Russia, all through Northern Europe. The cloverleaf rolls and Parker House rolls are all an expression of the cultures that they started in. Knotted rolls are used throughout Europe, from Italy all the way through Spain, France, all the way up to Northern Europe. So really, this is not a very special dough, but what it is a chance to do a lot of different types of rolls with this dough. So I'm reaching the point here in the video where I'm almost finished kneading the dough, kneading it by hand, of course, and we're going to let it ferment for an hour at room temperature, covered with plastic. When we come back, it'll be ready to divide into 2-ounce portions and shape. And I'll probably do some knotted rolls. I'll probably do some cloverleaf rolls. Probably a couple butterflake rolls, just to give you an idea of some of the variety. You'll see in your textbook that there are also drawings and photographs of different types of rolls. You can also look in the Bakery Basics textbook to find different types of rolls. Anyway, we'll be back in an hour, and we'll take a look at this dough after it's had a chance to ferment. Okay, so let's divide these soft dinner rolls. Obviously, after an hour of fermentation, this has grown considerably. Remember, I don't want to pull on the dough. I want to scrape it out and not pull on it. Okay, so this is half a batch. Half of a batch as written in the recipe. So I'm not going to get quite as many rolls out of this, but that's all right. I didn't want to have that many rolls. So if you want to do half a batch, you're welcome to. This batch, the full batch makes 39 ounces, which will give you about 18 rolls, 19 rolls at 2 ounces each. So that's about 2 ounces, give or take. That's, yeah, about the right size. So we'll get these all cut to the right size. Okay, so I've got 9 rolls here. We're going to make several different types here, but let's start off with the basic shaping of a roll. If we want to do a roll that is going to be a round roll, all we have to do is take this little piece of dough, kind of squeeze it into the middle, turn it over, and we'll pull and push. Now I've got my hand in sort of a claw position here. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing from underneath, pulling from underneath. Keep pushing, pulling, pushing, pulling, pushing, pulling, letting the table actually do the work of rounding up the roll. If you just like round rolls, that's perfectly appropriate right there. This is a simple round roll, and that will proof and turn into just a very simple dinner roll. We'll put that over on the paper. If you want to make a clover leaf roll, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to divide this dough into 3 pieces. Okay, because a clover leaf is going to involve 3 little rolls. Now I'm doing this on my hand surface to make sure that the roll sticks to my hand a little bit, to make a little ball, a little tiny roll. Kind of squeeze it together. Again, I'm doing that same motion. I'm pushing, I'm pulling, I'm pushing, pulling, pushing, pulling. Kind of bring that together. And I have 3 little rolls. Now, to contain those, I've taken some ramekins here. You could really use almost any container you want, but I've oiled it. I'm going to place that into the ramekin for a clover leaf. For a Parker House roll, I'm going to treat it like a round roll. Okay, so we have a round roll. And then we are going to take a little bit of flour, and a rolling pin. We're going to press down in the center with a rolling pin. What that's going to do is create a crease, a pretty deep crease at that. Parker House rolls also go into a ramekin. So that's going to come up as 2 instead of 3. Get rid of excess flour. Okay, so if we want to do a knotted rolls are a lot of fun. We're going to go ahead and flatten out our dough a little bit. Roll it over by about 1/3 and give it a good pinch. Roll it over again, give it a good pinch. And finally seal it shut as a strand. And then we're going to be able to roll this out into a strand. Okay, so what can we do with this? We can make all kinds of different knots. One of the ones we did before, we did Kaiser rolls. That was a very simple knot where we tied it in a simple knot like that. Had a long section here, long tail, went around again. And if you have enough room, if you have enough length, you can go around again. Here, we'll do that a little bit better. Make the tail a little longer this time. So we can go around again. And we can go around a third time. As we even that out, it comes out to be a very attractive little knotted roll. So we'll put that over on the sheet pan. Do it again. We're going to go ahead and make a strand. Remember to seal it shut really well. We're going to roll this out to a strand. Now we're going to make what we call a figure eight. So you take a strand of dough, make sure it's fairly long. We're going to cross one side over the other, take a long section like this, we're going to cross it under that one, and we're going to come back over and push it down through. Okay, so that's called a figure eight. Very good looking little roll. Let's do that again. So we're going to pinch, pinch, pinch till we get a nice strand. Okay, so we have this strand. We're going to cross the long one over the short one, then cross the long one under the short one, and then we're going to come up and over and down through the hole. Just like that. Very nice. And from the other side, this is how it looks from the other side. Looks good from either side, whether you have the nose sticking up here or the nose is going down. Either way, it looks nice. Let's make a butter flake. Now, butter flake rolls, some people will put butter on them, and butter works just fine. But to keep the layers separate, you can use either butter or just a dusting of flour. I'm going to use a little dusting of flour here. I'm just rolled out this piece of dough so it's flat. And all we're going to do is we're going to make a series of pieces. So we're going to, let's say, cut 4 pieces like this. And we're going to make sure they're floured. So I'm just dipping each one in flour so it has a good coating of flour. And we're going to stack them up. Take our third ramekin, we're going to slide that down in there, and these 4 pieces are going to stay somewhat separate. And when you go to eat this, when it's finally done, you'll be able to pull these pieces apart. That's referred to as a butter flake. It's a really good roll. We'll let that proof, and we'll bake it. Okay, another one we can do is called the sawtooth rolls. We'll just take a piece of dough. We're going to go ahead and fold it over and pinch it. We're going to bring our sides in. Treat this like a little mini loaf of bread. Pinch it again and bring it down and pinch it and seal it shut. And we're just going to roll this as though we're making a little loaf of bread. Okay, so just like a little loaf of bread. Then we're going to take scissors and we're going to snip, 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 snip. That's referred to as a sawtooth. Now it could be held just set up like this. You can also make it into a curl like this. Either way, they look really great. And one that nobody can resist is a hedgehog. So we're going to have to go ahead and just give this little piece a pinch and roll it over and pinch it. We're going to hold our hands sort of on an angle and just create a little mini loaf again. Now I'm going to roll this side just a little bit more. And for a hedgehog, hedgehogs have spines that go one direction, so we're just going to create a series of cuts. Okay, so that's the body of the hedgehog. Once it's proofed, we can also take, we could either take a raisin, 2 raisins, put them here and press them in really deep to make eyes. We could also use 2 whole peppercorns, or you can just take a skewer and punch a couple holes for eyes. We'll let all of these proof. We have all these different rolls here, and they need to proof thoroughly, and then we'll be able to stick them in a 375-degree oven to bake. And here are the final products. This is a Parker House roll. Parker House roll right here. This is the cloverleaf roll, the butterflake figure 8s. You've got the little Kaiser. This is the plain dinner roll. It's a plain dinner roll. The hedgehog and the sawtooth, and all have turned out really good. So, looking forward to seeing your posts. I can't wait to see what yours look like. This is the last bread of the International Breads class. So try to finish strong. Let's make it look good and make some nice product that you can enjoy.